Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy, and I will be your host. If Bret LaGasse does not join me, I will be your host for the rest or the remaining of the show. But he was supposed to join tonight. If he doesn't, I understand. He's probably got some stuff going on because he's taking his time out. He is at work and he will be taking time out to join the show. So if something had come up, I get it. I understand. I appreciate him for even giving it a shot and trying, especially being at work and everything. But I want to join everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining the show tonight. Whatever platform that you might be on, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, whatever platform you're on, come over here to the YouTube channel. Look for Fins Talk Sports Network and Real Talk Fins Talk. Join the community over here in the chat with your fellow Dolphins. I'd appreciate that. Also, remember, we might not agree on everything Miami Dolphins, but there's one thing we do agree on. We are all Dolphins. And with that, I'm going to talk about the draft, the Miami Dolphins draft picks. I know a lot of folks, there was some disagreement on who they drafted, especially in the first round, and some questions in the later rounds. But I get it. I get it. Sully and Halfley have done what they've said they were going to do. And we've got a clear direction of where they're going to go, right? Judging by these draft selections and what they've said, they picked the best available player in their eyes. In their eyes, they picked the best available player in their eyes for this team, whomever will fit this team for, based on character, based on scheme fit, based on size, all of that stuff. And I appreciate them being honest and doing what they said they were going to do. They were convicted on these players, and they're sticking by it, and they're not changing their minds. They're sticking by it. And you can't argue about that. That's something we haven't seen here in the Dolphins organization in a while. And so I appreciate it. So we're going to get started on the draft selections. I'm just going to go down one by one here on who they selected and kind of analyze a little bit of my takes. Now, I want to put something out there. I'm not an expert. I am not a draft expert. I never really participated or did any of the mock drafts. And a reason being is I don't want to get hooked on one player, and then I get disappointed if they don't pick that player. That's number one. Okay. I'm leaving it up to the experts, and that's Halfley and Sully and the organization and the scouts and all those folks that collectively, did their due diligence in picking these draft picks. I'm no expert, but I have to tell you, I am really happy in the selections. I'm happy in most of the selections that they picked, and I kind of understand why they went with the number one pick, Kaden Proctor. Kaden Proctor, 6'6". They have him listed at 6'6", 352 pounds. Some folks have him listed at 6'7", some 6'6", so 6'7", 6'6". 352 pounds, played mostly left tackle at Alabama. I had over 2,800 snaps at the left tackle position. Now, the biggest take I have for him is we needed an O-lineman. Okay, they said Sully and Halfley said they were going to build from the inside out. The trenches, and that's what they did. They went out and they got their guy, and they're very happy with this guy. I know he's got some weight issues and things like that. I think those are behind him right now. The kid is got over 270 pounds of muscle mass on him. He's a solid guy, whether he's 350, 370, he's solid. Okay. Um, I don't think the weight issue is going to be a problem with this young man. And So he's athletic. He's built like a freaking mountain. So if he gets his grip on someone, that they ain't getting away. He ain't letting go. Okay, he's a very powerful blocker. Now I have a little concerns because I heard Sully today. He was on the Joe Rose show. If you haven't checked that out, Joe Rose had a little interview with him today. He says that he will be playing left guard. And we all know who was at left guard last year, Jonah Severnaya. Jonah, he's going to be competing for that right guard spot. I don't think he's just going to fit right in there. They're just going to plug and play him in the right guard spot. That's what position he played in college mostly, was right guard. So maybe he'll feel more comfortable there. Maybe he'll improve. That's yet to be seen. I know they've got Jeremy Salver, I believe it is, and they drafted, and I'll get into that, but they drafted DJ Campbell from Texas, another guard. So he's going to be competing with those guys. Severnaya was way down there in as far as guards were last year ranked. He was like second to last, I believe, if not dead last. At least Salva he's a young kid, younger man. He is a veteran. He's been around a couple years, I think. He's played some. He's a backup, but if he can beat out Severnaya, then he's a starter. I mean, Severnaya played like a practice squad player last year. Okay. At least this guy Salver, if he continues to progress like he did in with the Chargers, he's a serviceable guard, which in my book, he beats out Severnaya. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. But as far as Proctor goes, the only thing that I see with him playing in the left guard position is if you watch some of the film of him, strong guy. He's got some good highlights, but then some of the other highlights are not good. To be honest with you, I think he's going to be even though he's 6'6", 300 and something pounds, not many guards that size in the NFL. I think it fits him well, and the reason why I say that is because at tackle, he was getting beat by smaller defensive players, smaller edge rushers, linebacker. He was getting beat. His feet are not for a big man. He's quick. He has good power, and he's fast as far as the 40-yard dash goes and everything like that. But if you watch him, hey Britt, how you doing, brother? I'm just talking about
man.
Kaden Proctor, man. Let me finish up here, and then I'll get your analysis on him and the rest of the draft. But yeah, if you watch some of the highlights and some of his film, his feet, he doesn't have very good feet, a good footwork as far as being a tackle on the and blocking against smaller edge rushers, linebackers, and things like that. Anybody that has speed, he gets beat. Okay, so I think in the guard position, he probably is going to suit him a little better in the guard position. Brett, I just analyzed Kaden Proctor. I don't know if and thank you for joining, man. I just got through telling everybody you were at work, and you took the time out to join here on the show, so I appreciate that. But give me your take overall on the draft, and then we'll get into each individual draft pick, and then kind of go over what I said about Kaden Proctor. Do you agree with that or disagree? So what was your take on the overall draft, Britt?
So the overall draft after Kaden Proctor was good. So I like the fact that they doubled down on positions. I like the fact that they got more athletic. Every position that they went after, largely they focused on guys that had height, weight, speed. And I said this before the draft that we needed guys. We needed to get away from this just fast guys, just this. John Eric Sullivan said we're going to build for the inside out. Everybody's like, we're going to go offensive, defensive line first. Yes, this is what we need. And Greg and I have been big proponents to say, no, you do not take early picks on interior or offensive line and defensive line. That's just stupid. That's just not how you build good football teams, and good football teams don't do that. And the Packers and that, I should say, the Ron Wolf tree doesn't do that. And he didn't do that. Yeah, he went Proctor at 12. I really wanted Downs there, but overall, like, they went and they got Jacob Rodriguez. I don't know why everybody's saying he's undersized. He's 6'1", 230. That's pretty average linebacker size.
It
but
is,
he's an athlete. He started out at Virginia Tech, I believe, as a quarterback, running back, tight end, like a hybrid, just do all. Moved to linebacker. He plays with the intelligence of understanding of, like, what's happening around him, what's happening on offense, what the quarterback, running back, and tight end, what all the keys that you read. So that's all. And guys, and I said this with Andrew Van Ginkel when we drafted him, that the one thing that stood out about Van Ginkel and on his tape and in college was he finds the football. Whenever there's a turnover, you look and there was 47 or whatever his number was in college. There was Andrew Van Ginkel. And the same thing with Jacob Rodriguez, where you find fumbles, you find interceptions and tackles for losses. There's Jacob Rodriguez right there. He's all over the field. He's always playing downhill, making plays in the backfield, and his negative plays are very small compared to his positive plays. So I really like that. Chris Johnson, I like the length. I liked his ability to take the football away. I like his confidence. When the ball's in the air, he doesn't panic. He could afford to bulk up a little bit, but, like, I like the Chris Johnson pick. From picks like 20 to the end of the third round, the value, the quality of players, the grades were not really differentiating too much. Like, so there's a cluster of players that you can get in that realm. So, but I like that we doubled down at linebacker. I got athletes at linebacker because you need to be able to cover. I like that we got big, fast, strong receivers. We tripled down on receiver, but Coleman's more of a return guy, slot guy. So they got two big guys, and if one doesn't pan out, you got another one that possibly. They went and got guard in the 6th round, but they're going to look at him at center. Love that in the 6th round.
DJ Campbell?
Yeah. Yep. They're going to use him at center.
Tight
end, they doubled down at tight end. So I like the fact that they went and got an athlete and took a flyer on a guy. I like the fact that they got Kaczmarek, who is exactly what we need. Our outside zone, everybody blamed offensive line last year of our run game. No, we needed our tight ends were god awful at blocking. Dulcich Dulcich is a decent number 2 tight end. He's not a starting tight end in the NFL. He's an average tight end in the NFL. And that's not a knock on him. He's just an average tight end. But he looked like he was an all-pro compared to the garbage that we've had at tight end for so long, compared to, like, Durham Smythe for years, compared to the horrible Chris Greer picks. So Kaczmarek is head and shoulders the best blocking tight end we've had in a long time. He's a sneaky athlete as far as, like, going as a receiver. He will catch the tough passes over the middle. And what I want people to realize is Kaczmarek is like, think of Luke Wilson with Seattle, a guy who they moved all over the place. He could knock your head off from the fullback, H-back. They could put him in the backfield. They can move him all over the place, and he would make plays. And he was a decent receiver and reliable receiver. Those kind of guys that have value, and to get him in day 3 or day 2 was in the round 3 was great. And then they doubled down. They got a young athlete, the mold and shape. I don't want to hear, well, he's inexperienced, it's a bad pick. Well, he might not pan out. I don't know. But I'll say this, the dude played soccer as a goalie and is a natural athlete, and there could be some value there. And if he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But I like
who are we talking about? Who's that?
The tight end we got from Texas A&M. I don't know how to say his name.
Oh, yeah, me
So
either. Yeah, yeah. He's isn't he part of the international
yes, yep.
okay,
Sadu Trejo.
NFL
So
academy?
he's
Yeah,
from France, and then he moved to England,
right,
and he
right,
played soccer, and he was a goalie.
right,
So, and he
right.
has really good hands and really good
Mhm,
length and body control, and it's something
mhm.
it's worth doing. The Trey Moore, I
Yeah,
really don't have much of an opinion on. I don't know how they're going to use him. There's value for
yeah.
him as a stand up rusher.
Mhm,
He's definitely not an inline rusher. That Michael
mhm.
Toff, I think he's just like a good special teams addition. Kevin Coleman's a special teams.
Right.
Kyle Lewis, I think, is probably going to be a starter or a role player right away.
Mhm.
Douglas, I do like. I do like Caleb Douglas. I think he's got the speed. He's a hands catcher.
Khalif
The
Douglas.
pro-
Yeah,
yeah, the problem with Douglas is his size. Even though he's
yeah,
got good
yeah.
size, his frame is not
Mhm,
very thick, and we
mhm.
never saw him against press coverage. So I want to
Mm,
see that.
good point.
Chris,
Yeah,
so like I don't know how he's going to do there. Chris Bell
yeah.
is he's a boomer bust. I think he's got potential to be
Mm.
at least a good number two receiver.
Yeah,
He is explosive. Uh, After the catch, he's deceptive. So his speed, like he might run a good 40. I don't really know with the ACL tear. It's suspected he
yeah.
runs between like some people say like a 4.4. I don't know. His game tape doesn't really say 4.4, but when the ball's in his hand,
Mhm.
it's kind of like Jarvis Landry, where he's not the
Yeah.
fastest guy, but once the ball's in his hands, he has another gear.
Yeah, he's physical
So
too. He
yeah,
very physical, and I think some folks compared him to Debo Samuel.
yeah, it's similar sense. He's a little taller, but
Right.
like built like that, thick. Some people
Mhm,
say like
mhm.
Anquan Bolden. The only reason I have a problem with that is I
Yeah,
don't want to put that kind of hype on him because he's not. But
yeah,
he's not quite
yeah.
Jack like him, but he's similar play style.
Mhm, mhm. You mentioned Kyle Lewis, right? Do you think they might play him at safety? I think they mentioned that they might move him
So
around and
they
into
drafted him
that
at
position of
linebacker,
safety. Yeah,
and but that doesn't mean he's going to just play one position. So he will be moved around a lot. He's
yeah.
going to be a role player for sure.
Mhm.
He's going to come
Yeah.
in on. He's going to be one of those guys that he might play a little safety in a base package. He might play a little
Mhm.
linebacker in like a dime nickel package. So it's going to be dependent
Yeah.
on what they're facing and what they're doing and
Right,
matchups. And I think Kyle
right.
Lewis offers the versatility to be able to play a little bit of both
Mm,
safety and
mhm,
linebacker.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I definitely see him playing like kind of all over. I can see them having four linebackers on the field, if you will, in certain
Wow.
packages, with Lewis
Yeah.
being like uh, a safety, or like when they're a nickel situation where you have two linebackers. I can see Lewis still on the field with like a
Mhm.
Rodriguez and Dotson or Brooks because he's going to be more of a safety role. But
Yeah.
it's really going to depend on what they're facing and what they're doing. But yeah, I definitely see
Mhm.
that. They did say they're going to move him
Mhm.
around.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that I'm a little leery of on this defense is, well, I'm still got questions in the defensive backfield. But the question that I have is edge, and we don't have a guy that can set the edge. We don't have a big edge guy, other than the guy that we drafted in the was it the 7th round?
Yeah.
That
Llewellyn.
guy, I can't rem yeah, that guy. That's probably the only guy I can see maybe that is a guy that I don't even know if he's gonna get on the field, but
He's
but,
not an
um
end center. He's not very good against the run.
oh, he's not. Okay,
No,
see,
he's not
that's
very. His play strength, his size wise is 6'5", 258, right?
yeah.
But he's not like he's built like Max Crosby was coming out,
Oh, okay,
and
so he's a pass rusher. Basically a
yes,
pass rusher.
and he's kind of
Okay.
stiff and tall. He's not quite the athlete
Yeah.
like he was. So, but he's
Yeah.
not a. I'm not saying he won't be good or can't be good or anything or a role player, but what I'm
Mhm.
saying is
Mhm.
he's not an edge center right now.
Okay. And then you also mentioned Michael Taff. He was round 5, pick 38. He's 5'11", 190 from Texas. We got a lot of Texas guys on here.
Yeah.
You don't think he'll be a starter? You think he'll be more of a special teams kind of guy?
Yeah, I think he's more of a effort guy. I think he's more of a little small
Mm-hmm.
for safety, but I think he's going to be
Yeah.
a special teamer. I think he's going to be a guy who just like I mean, I can see him like developing into like a special teams leader kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can see
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
I don't see him being like this like starter at safety. Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
nickel guy, we'll see, but
Yeah.
I definitely see
Mm.
him being a guy who is just special teams right now.
Okay. All right. Now Jacob Rodriguez, he's definitely going to be a starter, man. This guy, as you said, he's all over the field. He plays. He doesn't. He attacks the ball, tackling and going after the ball, fumbles and things like that, and interceptions. And he just flies all over the field. And I don't think he's undersized either, Britt. I don't know why they said that. He's 6'1", 231. That's about
Yeah.
average for your linebackers these days. You
Yeah.
got some bigger ones out there, but I think he'll be just fine. Uh, the thing is, I don't know how. Let me ask you this: do you think they're going to keep Jordan Brooks, or do you think he might be on a trade block because of
I,
the
I
draft pick of Jacob Rodriguez?
I mean, if somebody offers something, maybe, but I don't see them
Mm-hmm.
going after, or I don't see them trading them. I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't imagine they would trade him, but like unless somebody's
yeah,
like looking for a linebacker and it makes
mm-hmm.
sense. But like
Yeah,
to me, he's our better linebacker. I mean, he's better
yeah,
than
yeah.
Dotson.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he's all pro, man, for sure.
yeah, I'm not a
Uh,
huge fan of Dotson. I don't know why.
yeah,
Like, I know like Omar Kelly's big on Dotson and all that,
mm-hmm,
and I don't see
mm-hmm,
it with Dotson. And but
mm-hmm.
I can see because they have a plethora of linebackers right now, like Willie Gay,
Yeah,
um,
Willie Gay. Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Harrison they brought in,
Yep, yep,
kind of like the Kyle Lewis role. Same thing with the Kyle Lewis role. We'll see what happens with
yeah,
that. And then
yeah,
yeah, Casey
yeah,
Osai. So
yeah,
um, we'll see what happens there. I mean, I think there's going to be some cuts at linebacker for sure. Or there's going to be some
yeah.
moves at linebacker. So, but I mean, to me, Brooks is better. You're better off keeping him, in my opinion. But
Mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
it's hard to say. I like
You
Brooks probably has higher trade value than Dotson.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's the factor of where the money's plays because he's due for a contract, and so is Brewer and Achan. And I think and I know you guys your opinions on Achan. And we'll get to him. We'll get to him too. But I wanted to get on to this Proctor guy on my what you feel on my analysis. If you heard it about Caden Proctor playing the guard position, do you think that might uh, benefit him and the team more so as opposed to him playing as at a tackle position, or do you think he's better at tackle?
Uh, I don't like spending number 12 pick on a guard. I can tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, I mean, he's going to have to play right tackle at some point because Austin Jackson's
Yeah,
made of glass. So, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Austin Jackson's not going to last. So we'll see
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see the value in putting him at guard. Um,
Mm.
he's going to have to slim down a little bit anyway and get better with his feet. He's got slow feet as it is.
It
Um,
is, yeah. He does. He does.
and now you got Savania who has bad feet. Proctor at
Mm.
least doesn't stop
Real
his
bad
feet
feet.
when he run
Yeah.
blocks. Proctor
Right.
keeps his feet moving when he run blocks. Savania
Right.
stops when he makes contact. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Proctor is a decent. So the thing about Proctor is his broad jump, vertical jump are actually really good for a guy his size.
Yeah,
So
he's athletics a freak.
yeah, so like if they need to get his size down. The problem with him is it was hard to get him in the facility. When he's at the facility, he worked his ass off, but it was
Mm-hmm.
hard to get him to the facility. So that's going to be the biggest problem. And I don't see this one working out. I could be wrong. I
Mhm.
do. A lot of people are gonna not like this, but I do think he was a better option than Fano. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, I'm not impressed with this offensive line class. I know everybody's like
Mhm.
slobbering all over this offensive line class and the two guys
Mhm.
from Miami and blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
all I see is a bunch of guys who are going to eventually play guard, and you're going to waste a first round pick on guards. And that's not where you draft guards. That's not a winning
Mhm.
philosophy. And
Mhm.
I just saw guys who are going to ultimately be all pro guards, maybe at
Mhm.
best, or I
Mhm.
wouldn't even say all pro guards. So like I don't
Mhm.
know. I just wasn't hugely impressed with this offensive line class. Like Dolphin fans seem to be like slobbering over.
Mhm.
But with Proctor, I think there's potential to be, but I think he's going to eventually have to move back to tackle. And I think he's going
Yeah.
to have to move the right tackle. And I think it's
Mhm.
silly not to just move Austin Jackson because he's not your future right tackle. And if Proctor
Yeah.
was a 12th pick, move him to tackle and then move
Mhm.
Jackson to guard. And,
Mhm.
Jackson's going to be out of the lineup soon anyway because he's never played a
Yeah.
full season but one time, I think. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be interesting for sure. Yeah.
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 And
Hmm.
it's going to be hard for him to play inside. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to play inside.
Well, I think the take on him, and I've read, I don't know where I read it at or heard it or something. For his size, being a big man that he is, um, his arms are short than normal for a man his size. So I think that was their thinking as well. Whoever I don't remember who it was that said this. So maybe they felt that maybe guard would be better for him, and I don't know, man. It's one of those things, it's a do or die with him, man. And they're gonna roll with him. They drafted him number one,
Yeah.
so they're
They have
gonna
to roll
roll
with
with
him at
him.
this point. They
Yeah, they
have to.
have to roll with him. So, and Severnaya, I don't care if you put him on left or right side. I just don't think he's the guy, man. In fact, I was just saying before you came on the podcast that I think the guy we got from the Chargers, Salver, I think it's Salver. And I know Jeremy Salver, the guard. Now I
Well,
know a lot of
Sawyer,
people. Solier, yeah, there you go. However you pronounce his name. But I don't know. Some folks, they look at PFF and that's, they some folks agree with it, some don't. I kind of look at it as an indicator of a person's performance, how they perform all around. And actually Solier, he had a 62 62 overall grade on blocking and pass protecting. So he's serviceable,
yeah.
And if you
I was
go
about to say
and if
that's a
you go
serviceable score.
yeah, and then if you look at 7A, he wasn't even serviceable last year,
No.
you know.
Well,
So,
so
maybe
I don't suspect that Savani is safe. I don't suspect that
yes.
he's a guaranteed
Right.
start. I don't
Yep, I
suspect
agree.
anybody they brought in is going to compete for a job. So
Mhm.
Savania is a last regime's guy. And don't get me wrong, Savania, I think there could be
Yeah.
potential for him to get better. We'll see.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, I hope.
Jameer Sollier, I think could take his spot. You could have
Mhm.
Austin Jackson take his spot. What I'll say is I
Yeah.
can see
That's a
this
good didn't think of
staff
that.
moving guys and saying it's not working at Proctor left guard. Let's move him back to right tackle. Let's move Jackson to left guard and see what happens. Let's move
Mhm.
Sawyer at right guard. Let's move Sawyer at
Mhm.
left guard and Jackson to right guard and Proctor right. And there,
Mhm.
I think I could see them meshing a lot, getting guys
Mhm.
reps at different spots for two
Yeah.
reasons: competition and
Yep.
flexibility during the season.
Mhm.
Because the Packers, one thing Ron Wolf was big on doing was getting guys who can move around the offensive line. So if you had a guy that got
Mhm.
hurt, you could
Mhm.
move him. And
Mhm.
and the Packers did have guys that moved around quite a bit. Um,
Right.
and I just use him as an example because that's where he comes from. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is getting guys that can move around. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing is Proctor might be starting at left guard right now, but I think they'll get him reps at right tackle. I think Austin Jackson will get reps at guard at both spots. Savania will get reps at both guard spots. Salyer get reps at guard spots. Cooper, who we just drafted, will get reps at guard and center. And I think everybody's going to be competing for these spots. And it's going to be, they're not going to care if it's a rookie, a free agent, last regime's draft pick. It doesn't matter. Whoever the best player is going to start. And, and I really think that that's the route they're going to go. And that's where I think things could get. And then I also think, like, I like the fact that we still have Keon Smith too. He was a serviceable backup at tackle and guard. So
I don't really like him, but yeah, it's fair to say he's serviceable. Yeah, it's fair to say that. Yeah, for sure. And he's versatile because he plays tackle too, right? And guard.
Yeah, he plays guard and tackle.
So, right. So, like, so that's fair.
Yeah. So, like, I think the thing is, like, we're gonna have to look, like, that's what they're gonna look at. And real quick on your Brooks trade versus Dotson. Now, Dotson, pre or post, will have a dead cap of $717,500, and then a cap savings of $2.965 million, so basically $3 million. Whether it's pre or post June 1st cut or release, or a cut or trade.
That's Dotson.
Yeah. Now Brooks would cost us, if you do a pre 6-1, it's $8 million in dead and $2.5 million in savings. But if you do a post, it's $2.5 million this year and $5.8 million next year, and then $8.4 million this year in savings if you trade or cut them after June 1st.
So it's possible.
So yeah, there's a possibility post June 1st that they could trade Brooks or cut Brooks, or that's if they want the most money. But there's void years, so they could also extend Brooks and save money that way. Think about Achane. I keep saying, like, with him and Brewer's contract, you could extend them where you're not, like, Achane's an easy extension if you do it smart. You're basically not, you're giving him a bonus this year without changing his cap hit, and you're giving him more money next year.
Yeah, but the question is, will he accept that?
A lot of players do. Like, it's, if you give him a big, but if you give him a big signing bonus, that's not against the cap. He gets a chunk of change this year. You're basically fronting him the money this year. Your cap hit doesn't hit, so you're fronting him money this year without it being a cap hit, and then his big contracts next year, the year after.
So what would you say a good bonus for him would be? What do you think that would be?
I don't know what the numbers. That's hard to say. I don't know the numbers for sure, but I think you could make it work.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about Achane. I think we kind of first let me talk a little bit about Chris Bell, because he had the ACL, and I think Sully mentioned on the Joe Rose show today that he likes him. He's got a lot of potential. And we just talked a little bit about how physical he is, especially after the catch and everything. And he is pretty quick for a big, pretty fast for a big man. I think he's 6'1", 2. What is he, 6?
He's 6'6", almost 6'2", 220.
Yes, 6'1", 220, something like that. Do you think they should maybe just let him sit out the first few games of the year? Make sure he's at 100%, or you think they should just maybe start him, or do you think they should just kind of use him as a rotational player in the beginning, or do you think he should just start?
Well, you got to see how his leg is. If his leg's good, if his knee's good, you gotta go from there. And they said he's ahead of schedule, but you don't rush him back. You take your time with him, right? And then when he's ready to go, you bring him in. So I definitely don't rush him in. I take my time with him, bring him along slowly, and then if once he's ready, he's ready, because you're not winning anything this year.
No. According to some people, they think we're going to be I'm not going to mention any names, but it was somebody that used to be that was always called negative and a Tua hater, and all. It wasn't me, but it was somebody else. And they've gone from extreme, from one extreme to the next. Now this year they're all hyped and positive. Oh, we're going to the playoffs. These guys are not rebuilding. It's a retool, and
No,
these guys are probably going to play better than what everybody suspects. And Malik Willis is going to gain 1,000 yards rushing, and he's going to throw 24 TDs, and he's going to rush another 10. I was like, what are you talking about, dude?
nope. It's
But anyway,
not happening. That's not
yeah,
happening.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
This team is not going to win that much. I thought the draft was pretty solid, and
yeah, I did too.
Secondary is still a problem, although I like Juju
playoffs
and Jason Marshall.
Playoffs.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel with that one. It ain't happening. But like, I do like the young guys they have in Jason Marshall, Juju Brents. I do like them at corner. Like
Dante Trader.
Yeah, but you're putting a lot on your young guys, and your edge is not good. You know, I know they brought in Beal. I know they brought in Ajabo and Uche, and then we saw Chop Robinson, and then Willie Gay can play a little bit of edge, and I don't see this. I don't see it because on defense, and Greg and I have said this before, on defense, you need an impact player at all three positions.
Yeah.
Or all three levels. So
right.
Chris Johnson, he could be an impact player, right? I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jacob Rodriguez can be an impact player. That's a lot to ask for like rookies though.
Yes.
You have no impact player up front on the front seven at all.
Unless you call Zach Sealer an impact player.
No, to me, he's not. Like, he's a good player, but he's not really an impact player. He doesn't take over games enough. So you need that impact player and on the defensive line. And I'll give you an example. Like, look at the Chiefs' defense. Why is it always good?
Right.
Well, they had an impact player at linebacker. They always seem to find a good linebacker. Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're always willing to. They always find guys. They draft them, replace them. They have an impact player, Chris Jones.
Yeah.
They have an impact player at corner. They always seem to find a corner.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing. They always have a difference maker at corner, difference maker at linebacker, and a difference player at edge rush or as a rusher. So that's where the Chiefs' defense is always good, even if it's not like the best in the league. But that's what makes them good. Is they always have an impact player at all three levels, and then they have a guy. Then they have guys who kind of do their job in between that can make plays. You know what I mean? And if you go back in the day, you look at New England, they had that. Like all the good defenses, you could pick out an impact player at all three levels. The Steelers back like during their heyday with Cowher and early days of Tomlin with Ben Roethlisberger, they always had like an impact player at all three levels, and that's the thing.
Sure.
Like, and I do think, but to reiterate, I think they're headed in that direction. I think Jacob Rodriguez is the impact player at linebacker. I think he changes the defense. I think Chris Johnson changes your secondary in a sense of a leader, in the sense of a guy who comes in day one's a leader. Jacob Rodriguez, day one, a guy who's going to make plays. And I like his connection with Brooks. I'm really hoping that duo works. So like that changes it. Now, edge rush, maybe Trey Moore could be something. Maybe they can get him to be something. I don't know. Maybe they can get something out of Ajabo and Uche and Robinson. I don't know. But right now, I think the holes at safety, the holes at like the youth at receiver, let's say, because you got a lot of receivers, but there's a lot of youth there. There's not a lot of experience, and right now, not a proven true number one receiver. Tight end, I think you got a little bit better with the blocking at least.
Right, I think so too.
Line, it's probably better. Although offensive line got blamed a lot more than it should have. It got blamed a lot more than it should have. And then running back, you have Achane. You got nobody behind him. That's proven. Right? And Gordon, there's potential with those two, but they haven't shown anything. So and then with Moss, I do like Moss at Texas A&M. I do like the fact we brought him in, and I do like the edge rusher out of Wisconsin that we brought in as an undrafted free agent. So
who? Oh, Moss, the running back from Texas.
Yes, Texas A&M.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
wasn't
one that
he
got hurt.
wasn't he he wasn't the starter for Texas though, was he? Thought he was
Texas
like
A&M he
this.
was.
He
Yeah, he
was
was the
the
starting back,
starter?
but he got hurt.
Oh, okay, that's why he didn't have a lot of games last year then.
He got hurt.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I
but
like him. I like Moss too.
he's thick.
I
Like
I did
he's
a
a
little I did a little research on him, but I thought I didn't know he was the starter for some reason. I guess I didn't do good enough research. But anyway, so let's talk about Achane a little bit about Malik Willis. Achane, um, Achane. I know during the draft and everything we were going debating back and forth on Achane. You were saying some things about Achane that he's not that good and all. Well, you didn't
that's
say he
not what I
wasn't
said.
that good. Yeah, you didn't say he wasn't that good. What did you say exactly? So I
I said
won't keep
he's
talking
not a
over you.
bell cow. So
He's
everybody's
not a
talking
bell
about
cow. Okay.
you want to pay him all this money, and the thing is, like the fact that we have people saying he's equivalent to Saquon Barkley is
Yeah.
my head exploded. I didn't think I was actually having a conversation. I didn't think this was a real conversation because what?
Yeah.
And they were talking about so Saquon Barkley's um production fell off a cliff in 2025. He still
Yeah.
had 1,140 yards and 7 touchdowns as compared to his 2,000 yards a year before with 345 attempts. Every single back that has rushed for 2,000 yards after running for over 300 attempts has fallen off the cliff the next year. Adrian Peterson, um, Jamal Lewis, every single
Mhm.
back that I've watched run for 2,000 yards, and I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of them, the next year kind of fell off a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
common. Their
Yeah.
bodies like the next year is not quite the same.
It's a lot of
Right. So
carries.
right, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley is an unreal talent. Now injuries, right? Devon Achane's season, 238 touches, 1,350 yards, 8 touchdowns. Barkley had
Mhm.
280 attempts, 1,140 yards, 7 touchdowns. However,
Mhm.
like the offense ran through Barkley, and
Mhm.
the system was god awful. I mean, that offense coordinator got fired
Mhm.
that year. But like
Mhm.
the other aspect too is what I keep telling people: it is Achane's a good back, but
Mhm.
he doesn't need to be the focal point of your run game because he's not built for all those carries. What's going to happen is, and I guarantee you this, mark my words, if he becomes the focal point of the offense, he's going to get hurt. And then the fans
Mhm.
are going to throw a temper tantrum that he's hurt and missing time because they used him too much.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then people are going to be like, oh, well, man. And that's why it's risky to pay him. Are you paying a
Mm.
guy that much money who can't technically be your bell cow, who needs to have
Mhm.
about 15 touches a game? Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
people can say what they want, like, "Oh, Barkley gets hurt too." Okay, well then you're basically saying so they shouldn't pay Barkley either. Okay, and I get it, like Barkley. If you want to say that, I get it because of the injuries. I understand. So you
Mhm.
have to like it's risky, and I like Achane. I think he's a talented back. I think he's a good back. I think he's a good weapon
Uh-huh.
to have. But a lot of people
Yeah.
don't like people. Sorry, I mean I'm just being honest. Like, but he's been hurt. So like people have to understand like he is
Yeah.
a good back and a good weapon, but
Mhm.
you still need somebody behind him. And the Packers had
Mhm.
somebody behind oh shoot, what was his name? The running back that the Packers had for that's with Minnesota now.
Oh, oh gosh, what was his
My
name?
goodness. He was a smaller
I
back,
can't.
a good
Yeah.
running back, but he was smaller and they had backups that could kind of break it off of him a little bit. And that's the
Yeah.
key. Now this
Yeah.
system works for HM, which is good because
Yeah.
people aren't going to like this. Look what LaShawn McCoy said about HN. He likes
Mm.
HN. And he said,
Mhm.
I don't know if he would succeed in other offenses because a lot of
Really?
his LaShawn McCoy, who might know a little bit about the running back position. I don't know. Maybe. He might have learned from one of the best offensive minds ever in Andy Reid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows something.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to you. But like, well, what he said was he doesn't know if he would. He's not saying he won't. He doesn't know because a lot of what we did was to get Achane speed downhill to the outside. That's when he's dangerous. That's when he could break tackles. That's when he's hard to bring down because he has his momentum and his speed and he's got strong legs. You get him in traffic where he has to maneuver and break a tackle from without a lot of momentum. That's where he doesn't break a tackle, and that's where defenses want him. And that's what defenses would do. That's what the Chiefs did in the playoffs. That's what all the good defenses did against us. They funneled everything inside and forced Achane to run inside, and defense licks their chops saying, we want you to not go to your two fastest receivers that could break us. We're going to funnel you inside. We want your small back to try to run up the middle against us where he struggles to break tackles when he can't get his momentum, and we're going to eat all day. And Achane will grind out yards, but they know he's not going to keep doing it. And where Barkley, he can break a tackle without having a lot of momentum. He can get momentum quicker, so and that's the difference in style of run. And the same thing with Warwick Dunn was the same kind of way. And that's the thing. They're tough. He's strong. He can break tackles, Achane, but you need to be able to let him get stretch plays, let him get moving. And so everybody talking about this. All we need the offensive line to solidify for him. What people don't realize what they're actually saying. If I have an impact player, all right, if I have an elite wide receiver, my quarterback just has to get him the ball. I don't need an elite quarterback. I need a serviceable quarterback. If I have an elite running back, I just need a serviceable offensive line. If I have an elite quarterback, I need serviceable players around him, right? What I'm saying is elite players are elite on their own. They don't require everything around them to be great for them to be great. It just, if everything around them is better, it takes them to another level. So Saquon Barkley was already an elite running back. Nobody was arguing that when he left the Giants, right? Not one person's arguing that. He goes to the Eagles, and when everybody say, oh, shit, that's going to be a problem. Why? Because you just took an elite running back and put him on an offensive line that's really good. That's one of the best. And all of a sudden, now he's elite. James Cook. Why is James Cook? Why does us Dolphin fans hate the James Cook? Because James Cook gets drafted there, and we already know teams hate Josh Allen running the ball, and it's already difficult to stop their run game with average backs and Josh Allen. Now you add a talented running back behind a good offensive line and a good quarterback. Now all of a sudden, you get where I'm going? And I'm not saying Achane's a good back. I'm good with signing him. It is risky, but I'm good with signing him. I'm good with keeping him. We need somebody behind him. Is that Le'Veon Moss? Is that Oliver Gordon? Is that Jalen Wright? I don't know. I mean, it could be. Maybe Moss turns out. You know how undrafted backs are. So so I'm just saying, Achane's a good back, but we definitely need something behind him, and you don't need to run him into the ground. And that's the thing of what I worry about. And I am glad we're keeping this system because at least he'll fit this system. But even in Houston, when they were in this system, they had a stable of backs. So that's going to be the thing. That's where I'm at with Achane. It's not that he's not a good back. He's not elite like people say he is, but Dolphin fans, you know how they crown everybody elite. He's a good back. He's a good weapon.
He is.
He's a good player to have on your offense, and he could be a problem, especially the thing is he's an excellent receiver and a dangerous weapon. And if they could get another solidified back, you create a problem because now you can have him and another running back on the field at the same time. And you can have Cass Merrick as a blocker. Well, are they going to run or are they going to throw? Which back are they going to give it to?
Yeah, and I agree on that. But here's a real quick, and I know you got to go here in a few in about 10 minutes, but here's my view on why I love Achane, right? I think he's great. I think he's a really good back. And that's what I'm afraid of is they're going to use him as a bell cow and he's going to get hurt. And here's another thing. We pay him all this money, right? If they do this, for 4 years, we're not going to be good for another 3 years. Achane is Achane going to win us a playoff this year or even next year? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's and the signing running
That's my
backs
only
is
thing.
hard because
Yeah,
they take a beating, and that's the thing that
that's what I'm
people
saying.
don't really want to admit. Like running backs take a
Mhm.
beating, right? So
Yeah,
like they can run it to the ground. So guys that have a long career is hard. Um, I
very hard.
I don't buy into that we won't be good for 3 or 4 years because turnarounds can happen very fast with the right
Yeah,
moves.
okay, yeah.
Unfortunately, this year, this draft was more like 2019. The talent
Mhm,
in this draft is there was not a lot of elite players in this draft. There's some guys who
mhm,
could develop into elite players.
mhm,
Um, but I think there's a lot of like building blocks, if you will, guys who can fill in and be either serviceable or good starters, contributors, guys you can win
mhm.
with. Now, like just
Yeah,
because you say a guy isn't elite, that doesn't mean it doesn't have a future with the team. I don't
yeah,
know why. Like Zach Sealer, I think is a good player. I think he's a good leader.
yeah,
He doesn't
yeah,
have to be elite. He's just a good player. He does his job,
yeah.
right?
Does his
He's
job.
a good. He's a decent pass rusher. He's a good run stopper, and he's a leader on the
Mhm,
defensive line. Like you need
mhm.
guys like that, and guys who are tough
Right.
and who don't quit ever. Like you
Mhm,
need guys like that. Like right. So,
mhm,
um, let's say Jacob Rodriguez becomes this all-star linebacker, and
mhm,
Dotson is average, Brooks is average. Well, now you got an elite linebacker with some average linebackers. That's okay. You could win with
mhm.
that. But that's my
Yeah,
point. Like if Chris Johnson is an elite corner, but then you got Juju Brents who develops into a solid starter. That's
yeah,
okay. You
yeah.
like that's my point. Like, and I think this draft, like Cass Merrick, is a perfect example of a guy who it might not be sexy impact, it might
Mhm,
not be huge
mhm,
numbers, he might not even become an elite tight end. Like, but
mhm.
he could be like that Luke Wilson who just is a problem is just
Yeah,
a good blocker, a sneaky
yeah.
receiver who's just
Yep.
always on the field, reliable and doing his
Mhm,
job. And those guys you can have for 8, 10 years
mhm,
and win with. Like think of Anthony
mhm.
Fasano with him. So it's like just stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like and
love
Achan
you,
fits into
Anthony
that. Like
Fasano. Yeah.
like think of Achan like Kevin Falk for the Patriots for years.
Yeah, yeah, he was really good back too.
Right. Like so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and he wasn't their dominant number one back, but he was
Mm-mm,
a problem. James White, like guy, that's what I mean. Stuff like that, guys like that. Dion
mhm,
Lewis, who was good for the Patriots and Eagles for a while, right? Brian
mhm.
Westbrook, like that's
Yeah,
where I see Achan, that kind of back, that kind of role. I don't see him like a LaShawn McCoy with the Eagles. I see him more as like the Dion Lewis or the Brian Westbrooks, who's a good back that they add
right.
another back to pair with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Let's talk a little bit about Malik Willis. See, I think Malik Willis is going to have a little bit of an X factor back there along with Achan, because not only do they have to, watch for Achan, but now they're going to have to watch out for Malik Willis rolling out or running or whatnot. And that's an added dimension to this team that we haven't had in a while, a long time. I don't think we've ever had that, to be honest with you.
Uh
So that's what I'm excited about with Malik Willis. I don't know how good he's going to be. We got a small example size of him, right? Only 3 games in Green Bay and 3 in Tennessee.
yeah.
So we got a small sample size, but I think he does add that dynamic back there along with Achan and that's something else that defenses are going to have to watch out for that, you know.
Well, they are.
So yeah,
And
they're gonna have to.
I think the biggest thing with Willis, like I watched him at the Senior Bowl.
Right.
Every day, every single day, he got better. Like
Mhm.
he was he wasn't the worst quarterback day one.
Mhm.
But he struggled day one. It
Yeah.
was just a transition, and it didn't do bad or nothing. I'm not saying that, but like
Mm-hmm.
there were some struggles, right? And it was just like, oh man, he did not have a good day one.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, all of us looked at him and said, at the end of the week, we looked at him and said, the quarterback who stood out the most out of Ritter, out of Pickett, out of all of them was Malik Willis. Why?
Yeah.
Because he came in day one, not a great day. Stayed after, talked to coaches, didn't just run to the media to talk to coaches. Threw to some receivers, worked with some receivers, and you see him talking to some receivers and questioning and asking questions. You see him talking to the quarterback coaches, asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see him the next day, different, confident, throwing the ball around. Arm looked good. He has a live arm.
Yeah.
Okay. Good athlete, right? And then next day, good athlete. The kid just he showed leadership every day. Every day, like he just showed more and more command. And the thing I like about Willis, he's a good kid. And I was a fan of him in this draft. I don't think he's going to be an elite quarterback. I would love it if he is.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
At worst, I think he's like your quality veteran backup that you see, like the Ryan Fitzpatricks, the Tyrod Taylors, like the guys who are good backups that teams are like, oh, I'd like to have him as a starter for a year or two. You know, like I could see him becoming that role. And you know, you never know. Like I think maybe he could be a serviceable backup. Who knows? Like I think there's potential to be I think he's going to be a solid starter. But I can't guarantee it. Like, you know, like we've seen what happened with Sam Darnold. We've seen what happened with some of these guys. So you don't know for sure. But Malik Willis has talent. There's no doubt about that. He has a live arm. And he's probably the best athlete and biggest arm we've had at quarterback since Tannehill. But I think he's better than Tannehill. I think he's looser than Tannehill. And he's not afraid. I'll tell you this. The kid is not afraid of anything, though.
Yeah.
So at the Senior Bowl, the one thing I watched, and they were throwing on air, he threw a bad pass, right? Just ugly. I think it was one of the things where he just didn't have his feet under him, just wasn't expecting maybe had the wrong drop, expected a different route, whatever it was. Next, they ran it again. Beautiful pass, everything on target because he collected himself. And then in some of the practices, he threw a pick, comes back. Or was it a pick or was it dropped? Either way, bad play, right? Next play, touchdown. It was beautiful. And it was just like he attacked it again. He wasn't afraid of it. Like he's not afraid to dust himself off. He's not afraid to make mistakes. And a lot of people are like, well, that's not – it's okay to make mistakes.
Sure.
Guys overcome it. But like he's a talented kid. They're familiar with him. And that system over there, he knows the system.
Yep.
And I know it's a small sample size, so I'm not saying he's going to be this elite quarterback, but I think there's some potential there for him to be good. And he's still really young. So
yeah, he is. Yeah. He's young quarterback. Yeah, I think it's going to add a little dimension back there. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I know he's definitely a lot different than what we've had in a while. But Bret, I want to thank you for joining the show tonight. I know you got to get going here. I appreciate you taking the time and going over the draft and everything. And we'll have to do this again. And I want to thank everybody else that's in the chat as well. I appreciate you for joining the chat. Appreciate you for joining the show. And again, thank you, Bret, and everybody else in chat. Have a great evening. God bless. And remember, Dolphins #1, baby. Dolphins #1.